Hi, weirdos. You are listening to and hopefully watching Keep It Weird, the podcast for all things strange, creepy, animalistic, prophetic, haunting, musical, hairy, and everything in between. Each episode, we sit down together from across the country and we talk about something weird. And this week is, of course, no exception as we monkey around a bit, discussing some legendary creatures, both very real and potentially maybe just our imagination. We might have to discuss and see what you think. But we will also go into some light coffee house type chatter about the casual end of the world and the prophecies that could have been warning us all along. You know, just the simple stuff. Doomsday, apes, monsters lurking right here in our California neighborhoods. It's just another day on the job here at the Keep It Weird studio. And we are just the weirdo cryptid loving gals to cover it all. So let's go, girls. Let's get into it. My name is Lauren, and this is my lovely, brand new, fresh haircut, bad bitch, hot, beautiful goddess, co-host Ashley.
Hi, weirdos. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
She looking fresh. She looking fine. She looking fabulous.
It's a very long cheer. So
it was.
Yeah,
it was worth it.
For the first time ever, debuting, not ever, but like for the first time in my adult life, for sure. I haven't had hair this short since I was like 22 or 23. It feels so good.
Wow.
It feels so young and so fresh.
Been a minute.
It's been a while. I've had long hair for a long time.
So good. And I mean, your long hair was amazing, and we all fawned over it because you have such thick, good, wavy hair. But this cut, like, you were born to have this haircut. I love it so much.
Thank you so much. I hope you guys like it too. Don't miss my hair too much. It will grow before you know it, right before your eyes. It will be long in 4 weeks.
I know, because you got that healthy hair.
I got that healthy hair. Yeah. I really love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for cheering, audience, live audience.
Thank you. Thank you. Please sit down. Sit down. Take your seats. Do you feel like a breeze on your neck? Are you feeling like you can handle the summer weather?
So yeah, I feel a lot cooler. Like I was laying on the couch last night and I had to have a little blankie. And I know it's because I didn't have, because here's the thing, my hair's been cut for not several, but for 3 days. I have not posted or told anyone because I wanted to surprise you. And I'm going home this weekend and my parents don't know, my sister, my brother-in-law, no one knows. So
I can't wait. I feel like they're all going to lose their minds.
They really are. And I look so much like my mom with this haircut. I look so much like my mom. So it's going to be wild.
You actually do. And I feel like I'm not even allowed to say that because I almost feel ill saying this, but I've never met her in person.
Never met Pam.
Insane, but me and Pam are internet friends. But I've seen her photo enough times that like you are twins with your mother. It's actually so crazy.
It's actually so adorable. I love it.
I think that's so cute.
So cute.
You have to take a side-by-side photo, obviously, when you go home.
Obviously. So we have a lot to get to today.
Yes.
Most importantly, I have presents for myself. I bought presents for myself, but they're really for all of us. They're for all of us. What do I start with?
Love prezzies.
I'm going to start with what I got like 4 or 5 days ago on a Facebook Marketplace ad. I wanted something to add to my spirit communication repertoire. Let me move my mic out of the way, but like still have it pointed at my mouth. Okay, sorry about the shadow. Nothing I can do about it. That's just light, baby.
It's life, baby.
I got this for $15. It is in pristine condition.
No. Wait, $15. Who was selling it?
A radio. So I'm clearly going to be communicating with the dead.
1000%. That is gorgeous. And you got it for $15?
15 bones. And it was a guy that lived like right down the street. So I didn't even have to drive far.
Okay, I was going to ask, what do we know about the seller? Because I also kind of hope there's like a weird ass backstory. But
I didn't want to. I try not to come off as the person that I am when I meet strangers.
Yeah, I get that.
And the thing is like usually it ends really well. Usually I'm like honestly, here's the thing. If Joe wasn't waiting in the car for me, because Joe insisted on coming, because of course he did. I'm going to a strange man's house to pick up an item. Like, he's going to be in the car with me. If he wasn't waiting in the car with me, I probably would have said something, but I didn't want to start anything just in case he was like me.
Sure.
Because I really would have been like, I'm going to use this to communicate with the dead. And then, like, there's two reactions. There's like, what? Tell me everything. Which I think might have been his reaction, because he was like a really like nice gay older man teacher. So like I feel like he would have been, he would have been like totally on my level. And then there's the other reaction, which is like, okay.
Oh.
So it's like,
okay.
That reaction.
I actually have another seller there in the house. I have to go.
I have to go. So yeah, I haven't got to play around with this much yet because I just got it. And I also haven't got to play around with this other amazing thing I bought online.
I'm giving you my 20 chins in excitement.
This is the box it came in.
I'm just so obsessed. I've already told you I'm going to be in Illinois for the holidays this year, so I want to come play.
Come over. Or I really think there's so many old houses that rent out as like Airbnb rentals, or like between my town that I live in and the parents, like the town that your parents, even probably I can come to Peoria. I bet there's some old shit there.
Oh my God. Yes. I was like, we can talk about this later, but Peoria definitely has some haunts.
Open it up. Ooh, look at that red velvet. Beautiful. What's inside?
Truly gorgeous.
Oh, no big deal. It's just an authentic spirit writer.
Holy shit.
So you put the pencil in here and you put it on paper and you just let the spirits write something for you.
Okay. Ooh. I might have to fly home like this week because I want to play with that immediately. Wait, that is so cool. Wait, where'd you get that?
Etsy.
Oh, cute as hell.
Thanks, Etsy. It's a recreation. So it's a recreated antique spirit writer. It's not an original. Those are like thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Who's going to get that?
There's this guy, Raymond Esquire, the apothecary from Chapel Langley, England. And he does recreations of antiques. He also threw in some candle holders for whatever. And it comes with like it comes with like a lock and key. But I obviously unlocked it because I didn't want it to be a whole thing.
I mean, sure.
But are you kidding me?
I love it. I am so happy for you. I'm so excited for us for when I'm visiting. I love this. So and also they just look cool as hell.
I know. Yeah. My office is really starting to come together. Really excited for you guys, because what if I start getting like messages from the dead or like messages like about the future? That could really benefit all of us.
I know. Okay, we've already been saying, listeners, like, write in and let us do tarot readings for you, which also, like, where y'all at? Because I'm ready to do another one. I know people have written in, so I'm not trying to, like, scold everyone, but we need more. And now I'm like, let's do some questions with a ghostwriter. I don't know.
We could add it to our wheel at the end. Maybe not. That's a whole production.
That's too much.
That's too much. Actually, just kidding.
Actually,
JK.
We're quitting. Goodbye.
Actually, we quit.
Well, that was very exciting. Your hair, your presence.
My presence.
Your presence. I know I've just missed you, and like our husbands have been taking away our attention with the Olympics, and so we haven't gotten to talk reality or anything we care about in so long.
I know, it's been a whole thing. A couple more things I wanted to bring up before we start this episode. One, ads in our episode, FYI, not chosen by us. We have no say in them. I am incommunicado with someone at like our hosting site.
Yeah.
basically being like, hey, if you play another political ad in front of our show, we're leaving.
I saw emails with Libsyn. I was wondering what it was about.
Yeah. So when we had a great listener, hold on, I'm going to get the name because he deserves a huge shout out, because I have asked listeners to inform us if there's ever like an ad that you're like, they wouldn't advertise that. And he did.
I have been wondering. I'm like, do they just put in whatever the hell they want?
Well, okay, I don't have his real name, but JBiz is what he goes by on Instagram. Anyways, and JBiz was like, hey, just so you know, in front of your episode I was listening to the other day, there was a One Nation ad. And apparently, and I think it was One Nation, I'm probably misquoting it. Whoops, I wasn't planning on going into detail, but basically it was like a anti-immigration, anti-abortion organization. And here's the thing, I don't want any political ads in front of our show.
I know. I was like, that's not what we're looking for in ads. Like, let's not pin everyone against each other when we're just trying to talk about spooks.
It's weird that politics have ads, period. I think it's fucking weird. So anyways,
very weird.
Just wanted to put that out there. We do not choose the ads. We don't have a say in the ads. Currently, we're in a fight over the ads. If you hear an ad that you're like, I don't think that they would promote that, you're probably fucking right. We wouldn't.
You're probably correct.
We're working on it. If anyone wants to come on as our marketing professional, we have no money, but we could strike a deal. We could strike some sort of deal.
If you want friendship and high fives, no, just kidding. We will work something out with you.
Percentage of
help us.
Help us. I don't fucking have time for this. Anyways. That's all. That's all I had. I just want to make sure that we put that out there so no one is feeling some type of way about an ad that plays in our show that we didn't even know existed. How about you start? Let's get a little weird.
Let's get a little weird. That segue would have gone so much better with my second. Because we would have stayed in the accent. But instead, we're going to go into It's Monster Watch.
Two of them across the creek at the big rocks.
Monster.
Oh my god, I didn't even know I could make that sound. That was upsetting a little bit, actually, but Monster Watch. I've never done one.
That's so exciting. Monster Watches are fun. I love cryptids. Did you watch the new Unsolved Mysteries?
Yes.
Did you watch the Mothman episode?
Yes. I can't believe we haven't talked about this already.
He's back?
Also, I had nightmares about the body in the basement episode, so we might have to talk about that another time.
A lot of blood in that basement.
I was not well after that. Okay. I am talking about today a monster that is from right here in California that I did not know about. But I mean, it's not like in Culver City. It's not like nearby, but still, I had never heard of this one. This is the BILLIWHACK monster.
The BILLIWHACK. That sounds like it would be like from Scotland or something.
1000%. Right? I'm like, are you related to Nessie? I don't know what's going on, but I also want to say like BILLIWHACK monster. BILLIWHACK. I feel like it also gives like King of the Hill. I don't know. I'm feeling it all.
Bobby, get that BILLIWHACK out of here. So I assume there's an H in there. BILLIWHACK. BILLIWHACK.
Yes, that was so good. Bobby, the BILLIWHACK monster.
Sunny California.
Is it real? Is it not? We're gonna talk about it. But as the story goes, there is a tall, muscular, ape-like humanoid with long claws, gray hair, and ram-like horns on top of its head that lurks around the area of Santa Paula in Ventura County.
That's Satan.
Now, I just said a lot of things. Basically, I was describing the devil.
Yeah.
But I think it's because, like, as I'll talk about a little bit, but most sightings, like, have similar behaviors, I guess, which is why, and like similar locations, which is why people think it's the same monster. But like half of the people are saying, oh, it was a ram and I saw like the hooves. And then other people are like, no, it was like an ape with claws. So like everybody just kind of combined it over the years. And I was like, oh, that's just the devil. But here we are. Santa Paula. So this ram-headed monster is in the area known as the Camulos Ranch. That is its main home, and it has been encountered on Aliso Canyon Road and occasionally Wheeler Canyon Road near what was once the BILLIWHACK Dairy and Ranch.
Are you kidding me? We got another ranch on our hands?
Nobody ever buy a ranch. Nobody moved to a ranch.
Sick of these ranches.
Sick of these ranches. And some stories attribute the location of its nest as being closer to Wheeler Canyon Road, but most state that it lives in the dairy and the ranch specifically. So again, there's going to be a lot of times where I'm like, here's a general area. There's differing stories, but like all kind of centering around this old dairy. So it's referred to as the BILLIWHACK monster. This creature has been known to torment mostly high school students from Santa Paula High School. Those are most of the witnesses. But then as time went on, some more adults started talking about it as well. But like when it's high school kids, that's when you're kind of like urban legend. But also teenagers are known to do the dumbest shit. So like, of course you're going to encounter something.
Yeah. Also, you let me know when I'm in the clear to throw out a theory.
Okay. I was like, let's go in a little more and then I want to hear it. Because I always love your theories, but okay. So, teenagers are the primary people who have encountered the half goat, half ape, half whatever creature.
Bird, apparently. It's got a nest.
Maybe a bird.
Platypus.
It has been known to throw very large objects as big as 50-pound rocks at vehicles.
Bigfoot. Pounded
on hoods of cars, leaving huge dents. And it has been known to carry around a large club at times. In the 50s, there was a 9-year-old boy who reported being attacked and clawed at by a weird animal near the BILLIWHACK dairy. He had scratches across his arms and his back, and like he was 9. And so he's coming home saying like, it's this big creature. So everybody is believing this kid who has never been known to tell a lie. And at 9, that does seem like you could be like mischievous, but for the most part, I feel like you would be telling the truth. Like the fear in this kid's face, I would feel like he was telling the truth. And it's so everyone's like, what is there a wolf? Like what is going on?
Yeah. What clawed my child?
That would be terrifying to have that come like covered in scratches and just not know what was going on. And then in 1964, there was another reference to the creature when it terrorized some hikers for hours and thus made headlines in a local newspaper. And in 1964, a Los Angeles Times article reported that deputies found a young boy. This was just like a week after like the hours long terrorizing of hikers. There was a young boy carrying a sword off to slay the beast because this child was so determined to go hurt whatever had like snuck up on his family weeks prior.
Listen,
so
'twas brillig and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the moor groves and the mome raths out. Gray bitch, he was going to slay the Jabberwocky.
Which season was it of this show? I feel like it was early on. We sang the song, or maybe I just sang the song and you recited the poem.
I had no idea that
Beware
it was a song.
the Jabberwock, my sons, the claws that like the
claws that
catch.
Wait, the jaws that bite,
jaws
the claws that snatch,
claws that catch. Beware the jub bird and shun the
frumious bandersnatch.
He took his vorpal blade in hand.
1, 2, 1, 2, and through. Yeah.
So Ashley has solved it. This is the Jabberwock.
Also, how do we both know the Jabberwocky?
I know. I remember you bringing it up in an earlier season. I was like, other people know about this.
Other people know this poem/song. The Jabberwocky is a poem from, what's the actual title? Because it's not Alice in Wonderland. Beyond the Looking Glass? Is that what it's called?
Or something looking glass.
Something looking glass.
Beyond sounds right.
Does it?
Someone will be shouting at us in their car while they're listening to this. It's fine.
Sorry, never read it.
Sorry about it. So what I love about this is, yes, like everything you're saying, like this is straight out of the poem, but like there are actual newspaper articles that can be traced back to this where I don't know if people were just trying to act out the Jabberwock in real life because there
real?
was a genuine kid walking off with a sword. And it says, I don't know if it actually says sword. It was like a long blade of some sort.
Right.
But either way, it's like, who gave it to the kid? How did they
How did
find
he
it?
get it?
But they were determined. And that same article also reported that a woman who leased the land once had to hold off 43 monster-seeking children with a shotgun until authorities arrived. She had to call the police because it became such a sensation that, like, after just a few reports came in, everyone was coming to the dairy to, like, get a look at this thing, fight it off, or they were coming because their car had been destroyed and they really wanted to fight off the beast. So people were getting mad. It was just like, the rumors were flying.
What year was this?
1964.
64. Okay.
I mean, in the 50s is when it all began, but 1964 is when
the
like,
town
reports were coming out. Yeah,
enough.
when the town was a chatting. The newspaper articles had been printed. It reached the LA Times, so like it was out there.
Damn.
The Billywhack Dairy also, according to legend, is like this decrepit ruin of what was once like state-of-the-art, very advanced, modern dairy farm. And it is known that it does have underground rooms and tunnels. And there was an explanation for this at one point that was like, oh, we have to do it to like transport this and this, like to make the dairy run better. But nobody ever got to see the underground tunnels until like it was in ruin. And then like obviously some ghost hunters and stuff went down there and they were creepy as hell. But there's all these rumors swirling of like, what would you have had to do down there? I don't know enough about dairies to speak on it, but apparently people were upset. And like, there's no reason you needed this big of creepy ass tunnels underneath.
Unless they were moonshining.
Was there a moon shining?
Unless they were moonshining.
Was there a moon shining in the tunnel? I was like, it was an underground tunnel. It was dark. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I'm saying like when it was built. I don't know if it was around during Prohibition.
Were they moonshining?
Absolutely been a moonshine operation. Yeah, well, and also like there are just places in the world like St. Louis, for example. Like there's caverns and caves all underneath St. Louis because you can take one of the caves tunnels from Limp Mansion to the Limp Brewery because they would keep beer.
Okay, well, that's
they would
just
keep
cool.
beer down there. Yeah, because it would stay
a good
cool.
Use of a tunnel.
I know that's a great use of a tunnel. One I wouldn't give to have a tunnel.
I would love a tunnel connecting with. I mean, like obviously the dream life would be me and Ashley live in Salem, Massachusetts, and we have tunnels
connecting our
leading to each other from our Victorian homes, and like the cats just live down there and frolic while we're
kill
busy.
the mice.
But nobody really like knew what was going on with this tunnel. So it just kind of added to the lore going on. But the dairy, just like quick brief history, the dairy was started up and run by an August Rubel who moved to Ventura County in 1922 and established the dairy in 1924. He was from Switzerland and he served in the American Field Service in France from 1917 to 1919. And the urban legend connects him to the Office of Strategic Services, or the OSS.
Yeah.
CIA. The precursor to the CIA. So it was known that, like, because he was serving overseas in some way, that, like, he definitely transitioned into something in the US, but that's where like people start to say it's urban legend and rumors because nobody is quite sure what he did, but everyone is like, I really think he was CIA because he was so like secretive about everything he did and just like had this air about him.
But how weird is it that we have another member of the CIA or the pre-CIA that now has weird shit going on at his old dairy?
And that is another reason people are questioning the tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had this dairy and these secret tunnels that no one had seen but him and like his immediate family members. So it, of course, became the theory that he was underground doing a little experimenting, running the dairy during the day. And experimenting by night. What was he experimenting on?
Who was he experimenting on?
The BILLIWHACK monster is apparently a product of this research. That's my theory.
Wow.
I like to grab onto like the fun things to believe in. I'm like, he created this monster. Maybe he was going for something else, and this is what happened.
Okay, my theory is really fun too, and I can't wait to tell you. Go on.
Okay, I want to hear your theory now. I do think this is a good point.
My theory is, so it's like high school students, like teenagers and stuff. It's a teacher who's a shapeshifter, and this is what the show Wednesday was based off of.
I really love that theory so much, and that's why it was only high school students.
Because it was one of their teachers, and like, who wants to kill high school students more than the people that are with them every day and are not their parents and can't punish them?
Correct.
Well, we solved it.
Well, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to sign off.
It was Professor BILLIWHACK. No one noticed that the most crotchety teacher at this high school, his last name was also BILLIWHACK.
Was BILLIWHACK, and they're all like, what creature is this? And like the weirdest looking dude is in the corner like, I don't know, but my name is Bill BILLIWHACK, and I've been waiting for my moment. I really like that theory a lot. But who knows? It could be that. It could be that he was experimenting on farm animals.
Yeah.
Underground, because he is running a dairy, so has some experience, and something went awry. I don't know where the ape-like qualities come in though, but again,
who knows what he had his hands on?
OSS. He had his hands on everything. So because OSS is attached to all sorts of illegal and immoral experiments ranging from brainwashing techniques, we all know it well, uses of various drugs, and taking unsuspecting victims and experimenting on them under the guise of something else, just studies of diseases and warfare, all of that we have discussed at length here on the podcast. Of course, with his connections in that world, everybody is assuming the worst of this guy. So good old... What's his name? August
BILLIWHACK.
Rubel. I lost him for a second. Good old August
talking
Rubel.
about Bill BILLIWHACK again.
Bill BILLIWHACK. But what is funny is there was, like, the OSS was started by William, like, Wild Bill or Mad Dog, whatever his name was. So I was kind of like, there is a Billy.
Wild Bill, Mad Dog, BILLIWHACK. Yeah.
I like that there is a Billy involved. It feels right. So if we're to go along with the story, which, like, everyone believed at this time, Rubel, after performing experiments in Ventura County, was eventually sent overseas and died mysteriously, doing secret work for the OSS in 1943. Nobody knows how he died. It was very much just like, oops, goodbye, and no one followed up on it. No one spoke about it ever again.
Because he's still alive, because he's the BILLIWHACK.
Because he
is the
BILLIWHACK
we have
monster.
given so many different theories. It's like, it's clearly the Jabberwocky. It's clearly a Wednesday scenario. It's obviously a teacher named Bill BILLIWHACK. It's clearly Mad
It's
Dog.
Wild Bill, Mad Dog. He's alive and well.
He's alive and well to this day, living out his years in the woods surrounding the dairy.
In the woods. I know, there are so many questions, which also is what makes cryptids just so fun and why we love them on this show. But, like, the monster was seen around this area. This guy is shady AF. Nobody knows how he died, which is also shady AF. And then everybody, for the most part, thinks that the dairy and ranch were abandoned because it is, like, in such bad shape now. And, like, when you drive, around the exterior, obviously it's like a big gated property, but, like, from what you can see, it looks totally abandoned. But there are some people who believe that Rubel's wife, Mary Colgate McIsaac, which is quite a name, stayed around and remarried. She remarried some guy named Edwin, which is fact, but, like, people think that maybe they stuck around and, like, tried to carry on the experiments as best they could, or at least, like, try to shut things down and just get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Now that August Rubel was gone. But nobody knows that for sure. Like, things were just swirling around, but I don't know if it was abandoned immediately after August left or if things continued on, because since there's different looking creatures, some people are like, okay, when Mary took over, like maybe she did things differently than August did, and then we get an ape-like creature. Like, I don't know. Nobody knows.
Yeah, who's to say it's one creature and not a multitude of generations of creatures?
Like created in that
Ooh.
dairy and then sent out to that area, and that's why it's
Yeah.
like in that zone, and like that's why you're seeing these weird things, and they're angry, and they're like, I didn't want to be made, and that's why they're pounding on cars. And then some high school students piss them off, and so there's a whole lot of things going on. But it has been, this ranch dairy, the Billywhack Dairy, has been named as recently as 2001. It was awarded a National Historic Landmark plaque, which was very exciting. And there was a daughter, I believe, let me fact check. I think, yeah, one of the children like accepted the plaque on their behalf, since it was, you know, like way later, and like there was a little ceremony, but it like still didn't seem like anybody was staying at the dairy or had any plans to like keep it going. So I don't know. Still, nobody really spoke on it, and it just seems so weird that the whole family is being hush-hush. But the site, in addition to the secret underground tunnel, has some orange trees around it, multiple buildings, and an aviary that was built originally to the house by August Rubel's wife, Mary, and it had a lot of tropical birds. So if they had tropical birds, they could have gotten some.
They could have got a monkey in there.
And cryptozoologists believe that it could be some type of Bigfoot, possibly, because, you know, cryptozoologists, they're trying to like also have some rationality. They're not all going off the rails, as some of you think. They're like, it could have just been like a Bigfoot type creature, and you're seeing it in this area, and you're like wanting to connect it to August Rubel. But a lot of them say like, okay, here's one theory, but also this seems like something we've never seen.
It doesn't have a lot of Bigfoot characteristics. I mean, it throws rocks. Bigfoot throws rocks. Bigfoot has been known to slam on cars, and
especially the one in a Goofy movie.
Especially the one in the Goofy movie.
To like his disc man on top of the car.
I use my walk, I'm a walls man. No time to talk. That was always my favorite scene too when I was a kid.
It's the best. I love when he does the sock puppets.
Oh my God. Something happened to me that was so wonderful. It was like a week ago. A girl that I went to Lutheran school with, her name's Jacqueline. It was Jacqueline Stack, but she's married. I'm so sorry, Jacqueline. I don't know. None of the women in this story, I'm going to know your married names. I'm so sorry. But her name was Jacqueline, and she posted this like funny TikTok of this girl talking about like, hey, if you were a girl and you grew up in the 90s, you 100% performed witchcraft at sleepovers. And she like tagged a bunch of us in it. And so we started talking in the comments.
I love that.
And all of these girls, now women, were like, Ashley, like the Ouija board at your house was no joke. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad I'm a core memory for so many people.
That is the best. Like,
but then
what
also we were talking about how, and I like totally forgot about this. They were like, do you remember like we used to perform like light as a feather, stiff as a board, but we would also like make potions and shit at recess. And I was like, girls, we were performing witchcraft at Lutheran school. That's literally so metal. We're so metal.
You were making potions and doing light as a feather, stiff as a board. Like you were doing spells. You were making potions. Yeah. You were performing witchcraft. Laura would be so proud.
Laura would be so proud of me. Yeah, so apparently this has been me since day one.
And we're here for it. I mean, if you weren't doing light as a feather, stiff as a board at your sleepovers, like, you seem kind of lame. I'm not going to lie.
Apparently I was doing it to girls on the playground outside of our church, on this like weird old bridge that we had. So
gosh, you're the best. That is really, really perfect. Okay, to like kind of wrap this up, is what I thought was interesting was you could just chalk this all up to urban legends so easily. Obviously it's fun to talk about, but like who actually knows? But what I did enjoy was going on to weirdcalifornia.com, and they had a whole article on it that you can go read. And like Weird California has like amazing yeah, like amazing articles on everything, but like a really good cryptid section too. And that's where I kind of discovered the Billywhack monster. So like go read it. They go into even more detail than I just did, like even more on August Rubel and his family, and like just have a fun time with it. But it's so fun to read the comments on the Billywhack monster post, because a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, like I went to this location and like it just feels so weird, and like everybody is just like, it's a dark, strange place. And like, if you get up close to the dairy, it looks like there are things stuffed into the walls that like people haven't been able to like get to. But there was a theory that August hid a bunch of money in the walls. And like, again, it's just like all part of his OSS urban legend, and like all this like secret cash that he had that he was maybe leaving to his wife or to his family, or that he was just hiding in general. But like everybody just chalked it up to urban legend. But then people in recent days have gone and said like there are areas of the walls and the floors that are like bulging, but you can't get close enough to like actually dig them up, I guess. I don't like, you have to go read the comments. It's so exciting. But all I have to say is there are people who are visiting it today that say like there are weird like howling sounds. There are strange like big boulders that are like out of place that do seem like they've maybe been thrown. The dairy itself just like has a darkness about it. There's maybe cash in the walls and floors. So, like also go like get some money.
Go check it out.
It's just a crazy place.
Wow.
It seems like there could be something to it, whether it's an actual monster or not, which I like to believe that it is a monster wearing, now I want to think of it wearing a disc man and dancing on people's cars, but something is lurking.
Something is out there in Santa Paula. You know, it also could be, you know, he's dealing with the CIA. This was a little too early. Well, I don't know. Tesla was testing electricity that early, but I was going to say maybe it could be a flap area. It could be a situation where like he ripped a hole in space-time and these are interdimensional creatures that are spilling out through the tunnels. Just another theory to
I do like that.
Put on top of the pile.
Ashley always has the best theories, which just makes it
that's
why cryptids are fun. I love it. It's so fun to just think like what were people seeing?
I don't know, but I do believe when there's that many sightings and when it's like being written about in newspapers, like the truth of the matter is something was being seen. What that thing is, don't know. That's the same thing with the Mothman shit that's happening in like the Chicagoland area, and it's like,
I know,
you know, yeah, you can tell these people that they saw a crane, but when they look you in the eye and tell you like, hey, guess what? It wasn't a fucking crane. Like, I just believe them. Joe and I talked about this recently, actually, because he's very much so like, he tries to be really open about stuff, but his immediate reaction is to not believe.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that's a completely rational, like, that is the correct reaction. I think that it's only if you've experienced it that you can truly just like be like, absolutely, you saw something. Because like, I can't say that I would necessarily believe people when they told me that they saw a ghost or they had an experience, but I've had them. So I know something is happening.
And especially like you can tell when someone is having this genuine moment because you've been there as well. So like when you see a person being like, Ashley, I don't know for sure what I saw, but like it was nothing like I've seen before. I feel like you can read into that even a little better. Whereas, yeah, Joe and Alex are going to be skeptical and like, I have a lot more questions and like, we need to talk about this more. And that is fine and fair.
Valid.
Everyone can have their reactions to whatever, but.
Well, I was going to do my prophecies first, but I feel like to segue off of what you were talking about, this is just better.
Love it.
So for my first topic, please join me, one and all, for a new segment that I will be calling Monkeying Around.
Monkeying around. I like the Cockney accent that's coming out.
Well, I also thought it was funny that you're like, oh, I should have done my other segment. We could have kept on with the accent. And I was like, I have a segment with an accent. What are the odds?
Also, I do have to say, like, obviously, I looked and saw your segment name right before we recorded, but I swear on everything, I put in my intro monkeying around before you named your segment. Because at first, you did not call it that.
I didn't
You
have
had
it in
something
there.
else written.
This segment
It was
changed like 8
down
times.
the rabbit hole or whatever.
It was going to be a down the rabbit hole. But here's what happened.
Yeah.
I have noticed that my like future episode topics list that I keep running contains a handful of stories revolving around apes. And anytime I see a pattern occurring, I start thinking of like new segment ideas.
Correct.
So monkeying around came out of that. And I have...
It just made me so happy that we both did that.
We both said monkeying around. I have 2 monkey stories today.
Oh.
First one's fun. Second one's not as fun. So first up. Do you know who Ken Allen is?
No.
Okay, this is so funny. I don't know why they did this. So Ken Allen was an orangutan that lived at the San Diego Zoo.
His name was Ken Allen?
His name was Ken Allen. I don't know why. It's the funniest name I've ever heard. He was a Bornean orangutan too, so he's the one with like the really big fat faces, and his name was Ken Allen.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Ashley, I thought you were going to say that was the name of the scientist doing research. Ken Allen is not the orangutan. Alan was the name of the like Ken side character in Barbie too, so that just makes me laugh that it's Ken and Alan.
Ken Allen, the orangutan. Oh my god.
So well, that could have honestly been the end of the story, and I think people would be satisfied.
So no, it gets so much better.
I wasn't ready.
Ken Allen is one of the most famous animals in the history of the San Diego Zoo because of his many successful escapes from his enclosure.
Good for you, Ken Allen.
Yeah, Ken Allen fucking rules. You. He even got a nickname, the Hairy Houdini.
Oh, that's good. I see what you did there.
Do you see what I did? So Ken was actually born in captivity. He was born at the San Diego Zoo in 1971. And around, I think it was 1985 exactly. In 1985, he started to break out of his enclosure, which was supposedly escape-proof. He got out multiple times that year. Sometimes he would bring lady friends with him.
We love that for him.
And he would just stroll around the zoo and look at the animals. He was not like violent or aggressive when like the zoo people tried to like get him back into his enclosure. He just took walks and went on dates.
He was taking some gals out and getting fresh air and then was like, is it time to go back?
Is it? All right.
All right, I guess we'll head on home. You know what? I had a good night.
The only time he did anything like sort of aggressive was he threw like rocks and like debris at other apes in their cage. But I think it was
BILLIWHACK much?
BILLIWHACK much? Well, I think it was more like a haha, I'm on the other side of the. He was taunting them.
Like, I'm free.
So escaped all the time. Zookeepers literally could not figure out how he was doing it, and they began surveillance on his enclosure to catch him in the act, but he always knew when he was being watched, so he wouldn't do anything. So then
he's the
best, dude. So then the zookeepers went undercover and started posing as tourists. They would wear like street clothes to watch him, but they didn't fool him for 1 second. Like he knew it was them.
Because Ken Allen fucking knows. You can't fool Ken Allen.
Fool Ken Allen. So they raised his enclosure wall an additional like 5 feet. Wasn't enough. Still got out.
Still
didn't deter him.
Oh.
Eventually, they hired professional rock climbers so that they would go in and find every finger, toe, foothold that they could find.
Get out.
Seal him up. Like he can't climb out of his fucking enclosure anymore. They ended up spending like $40,000. This was in, the 80s. $40,000 to eliminate those holds and seal his enclosure. And even after they did that, he managed to escape at least one or two more times.
Yeah, he did.
Usually when a tool of some kind was left in his reach, and he and another ape would use it to pry open a window and get out that way. He was determined, and I think it really seems like it became a game to him where he was like, I just want to prove that I can still get out.
Yeah, like bring on more challenges, more obstacles. Like I'm gonna get out of this every time.
But he became a total icon. He had his own fan club. People made t-shirts and bumper stickers that said "Free Ken Allen." He was the best, and he was such a sweetie. And he did unfortunately pass in 2000. He developed prostate cancer and ended up dying at 29 years old, which is pretty average.
29. Oh.
Well, it's average for orangutans in the wild. In captivity, they've actually been known to live like 45 to 60 years. Which is wild.
Whoa.
But Ken was just too good for this world. He had to go back to where he came from and escape the closures and the beyond.
I'm like, not actually, but pour one out for Ken Allen.
Pour one out, man. I only have water now, but.
Ken Allen. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, I love that ape.
I'm obsessed with that ape.
My next story, though.
Oh, God. I'm terrified.
My next monkey story comes out of China.
I'm not ready.
And this is probably going to be a theme that's going to be recurring. A lot of monkey stories that I have on my list could basically be prequels to Planet of the Apes.
Okay,
We're getting there.
Up on TikTok, like what city this happens in, but I feel like I already have, based on TikTok alone, monkeying around segment ready. But you go ahead. I saw some things.
Hell yeah. Oh, and also, by the way, if you have not seen Planet of the Apes, and I'm talking like the original Planet of the Apes series, Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, stop wasting time. It's a fucking wild ride.
I love me some Planet of the Apes.
I never watched them. I watched them earlier this year for the first time.
Oh, wait, how did I not know this about you? I feel like I've been like forced by every man I've ever dated, and including my husband now. I've always dated people who will like really fuck with Planet of the Apes. And it's like one of Alex's weird things. And so I've always had to watch them. I can't believe I just watched them all this year.
I've seen the original, obviously, a couple times. And I've seen all the new ones, whatever. Seen the Mark Wahlberg edition of the Apes series. Classic. But I had no idea how bonkers, bananas, out of this world the Planet of the Apes series got. Like, I didn't know that in Beneath the Planet of the Apes you meet like a advanced human race that lives underneath the planet and worships a bomb. Like, who? No one told me.
It is not even about the old monkeys at this point, Ashley. Like, we've
no, it stops being about the monkeys very quickly,
almost immediately.
It starts being about and it's just like from like Planet of the Apes is about the monkeys, all the other Planet of the Apes, wild. Anyways, so
good stuff.
This is a story from a 2019 MIT Tech article written by Antonio Regalado, and this article is called "Chinese Scientists Have Put Human Brain Genes in Monkeys, and Yes, They Are Smarter." So naturally, there's a lot of issues.
True fear realized.
True fear realized. Help. There's a lot of issues with genetically modifying animals. Research involving, primates is increasingly difficult to get away with in Europe and the United States. But China's like, fuck it, fuck you, fuck these hoes. We're gonna do what we want to do. And they really do. So according to their findings, the genetically modified monkeys did do better on memory tests, and their brains also took longer to develop, more so like human children do.
Ooh.
The brain size, however, did not change. And that was kind of what they were hoping for. They were hoping that the brain size would change. The whole point of this was not like to create a Planet of the Apes scenario. They're doing it to try and learn more about the human brain.
I was going to say, yeah, it's supposed to reflect on us.
Yeah. Didn't quite do that, because here's the thing. We know that our human-like ancestors' brains rapidly grew in size and power at one point. And we assume that it was something within our genes, a gene that was chosen via natural selection to continue on reproductively. And by doing this test, they were hoping they could figure out which gene it was that caused that change. Because right now we have theories. And since chimpanzees share 98% of our genes, they were hoping this experiment would highlight that one gene that made us human and them apes. So what they did, they thought it was microcephalin, because when human babies are born with damage to that gene, they're born with tiny heads. So this provided the link to the brain size, and chimpanzees don't have this gene. So that was the human gene they chose to splice into these chimpanzees.
Makes sense.
Again, didn't get the results they were hoping for. And European and American scientists are like, whoa, 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 slippery slope. We can't do this. We won't do this. But China is full speed ahead. They've already tested another gene. They have already been testing.
They're going real fast. They are not waiting around. Here we go.
A new gene, a DNA variant that's labeled SRGAPC2. I'm sorry, SRGAP2C, dyslexic, that arose about 2 million years ago. This gene has been dubbed the humanity switch, and by other scientists, the missing genetic link for its likely role in the emergence of human intelligence. But as of now, like I said, it's just a theory. So scientists at the Kunming Institute of Zoology have already spliced this gene into chimpanzees, but they have not released any of their findings yet.
How recently did they do the splice?
This article came out in 2019 because a study came out in 2019 where they were showing what they learned from the microcephalin. And
we don't know about this next one.
We don't know about SRGAP2C.
I am nervous.
I am upset.
I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling scared.
I'm feeling some kind of way.
Yeah, you were right. Yeah. Like, this took a dark turn.
Yeah. It's like not horrible, but it's also like not super great.
I know.
Not the best.
But
not
I'm
the
just
best
like,
news.
we shouldn't be doing this. Like, this is not what should be happening. And also it's revealing like too much. Like they're too smart. And honestly, my monkeying around story, I'm like, teaser for when I do this segment. There are some monkeys in some country, because again, I have to look up where the hell it was. I saw this video, but they are like unzipping people's bags, grabbing the items that they want out of tourist bags and like running off with them. And they know exactly where to look. One of them goes and like distracts the person while the other grabs the bag off of them.
Whole operations.
They look like little people.
I imagine it's in India, because those monkeys in India are no joke. They will steal your wallet.
I know. And I was like, I was about to say India, and then I was like, but I should check before I just say that. But honestly, I was like, I was just watching it like, is that a person in a monkey suit? Like, it has to be.
You don't want to be like accidentally racist against the monkeys.
I know. Well, those
like probably those Indian monkeys.
I know, and everyone's like, it was in Ireland, you bitch. I was like, I
didn't
know monkeys were there.
No. I didn't even know they knew monkeys.
The Irish monkeys. Okay. Well, we're gonna shift gears now. Oh, I lost it. What we're going into a bit of biology.
I
wish I had a little mini top hat.
Oh yeah, we should have a little tip of the hat.
So, for today in biology, obviously I try to be healthy. I don't try that hard, to be honest, but I do care about my heart. I want my heart health to be there.
Totally.
And I love music and I love to sing and teach music. So today's biology topic is where the two of these things cross over.
Cute.
It is the cardiovascular system and music. And we discussed at length the brain and music a few years ago on our biology episode.
Mhm.
And I brought in all that evidence talking about the memory and how it's like music is one of the last things we hold on to, which like still gives me chills when I think about it. I love it. And it's why music is so important and it's so fascinating. So like, obviously hope y'all remember that, but listen to it if you haven't. But now we are connecting it to the heart. So it's like on an emotional level, I think we can all say like music can calm us if
Totally.
we're frustrated. It can
Pump us
help us
up.
process. We might want to like scream and belt in the car. It can make our workday go by faster. Whatever it is, like music can bring a smile, a memory. It can be relatable. Like all of the music is so important. It is all of the things in so many ways.
It's one of the oldest forms of art.
Correct. So, a new study now adds cardiovascular health to the list of music's already very long list of benefits. The new suggestion is that it can directly trigger physiological changes that modulate blood pressure, heart rate, and respiration. Which I was like, who?
Okay.
Because I was like, oh, we're talking about the heart. Like, we're just talking about love, right? And it's like,
No, it can
literally
actually change.
the pumping of your heart, like physical. We are like getting, that's why I said cardiovascular.
Yeah.
Like we are getting like beyond like heart. So Luciano Bernardi, a professor of medicine at the University of Pavia in Italy and lead author on the paper published in a journal called Circulation, very sciencey, said in a statement that music induces a continuous, dynamic, and to some extent predictable change in the cardiovascular system, and understanding the mechanisms of how swelling crescendos and deflating decrescendos affect our physiology could lead to potential new therapies for stroke and other conditions.
Wow.
Which is just like for a man like so well versed in like the world of cardiovascular health to say like we could be learning more about strokes and like helping to like fix a person who has had a stroke and like just even to learn more about it and how we can make changes that don't just have to be like, oh, we're going to give them the best quality of life that we can. Like we might be able to actually get them
bring them back
on the path to like their normal like physical abilities. Like that is crazy that this man is saying this regarding music because of the changes in the crescendos and decrescendos, it could affect our body. Like I just keep reading this over and over and I'm like, this can't be real. But Bernardi and his colleagues did an interesting study because they had previously found that changes in the cardiovascular and respiratory systems mirrored musical tempo. And that was a study from years ago that came out, but they wanted to expand on this and extend this knowledge to the body's response to changing rhythms. So they enlisted 24 volunteers, half experienced singers and the remainder with no musical training, which I would have like loved to sit in on this study. And while participants listened to 5 random selections of Beethoven, Bach, and Puccini, and maybe a couple other classical artists, they also listened to 2-minute segments of silence, and then monitors recorded their physiological signals. And the researchers found that selections with crescendos, especially with a series of them, like, for example, Queen Bohemian Rhapsody is like a great example of that where it's constant. It led to constriction of blood vessels and increases in blood pressure, heart rate, and respiration. And then these measures decreased during decrescendos and those silent periods. And the team also found that like rich music phrases that were around 10 seconds long, like rhythms from like famous arias where it's a lot of like, like where it's very full with changing sounds, caused heart rate and other parts of the cardiovascular system to synchronize with the music. It would start to match it and try to catch up to the beat, which I thought was so interesting. So both groups were experiencing this, and like some were trained musicians and some were not, just to remind you. And the musicians did show a stronger response as far as like catching up with the rhythm, which make sense. But it was still happening in a good amount of the like absolutely no musical training group, which says something for sure. So Bernardi says, like the leader of this study says, that the music effects go beyond a patient's head. Like we've always thought it was mental, emotional, just like how we are relating to it. But there are absolutely cardiovascular changes that are purely a physical response to the way that the music is changing. And the study can also suggest that the opposite could be possible. Like there could be a boost in mood that is pleasurable, and like you get those like full body chills, but like also the full body chills could be a just purely physical reaction, and that could potentially be negative. All of these things are popping up that are like, oh, it's not just feelings that you had about it, basically, is what the study reveals. Like your goosebumps could be because you're having a feeling about it, but if you ever get goosebumps from music and don't fully understand why, it could be your body responding to something that we don't fully even know about yet. So this was like an initial study with only 24 volunteers, as I said, just meaning that like now they are getting bigger groups. They are getting people from obviously way different types of groups as well, and different musical training, so they can do like a very full immersive study into this, into every like walk of life. But the Institute for Music and Neurological Function in New York City has now grabbed onto this, and they have started to use like evidence from the same study as like practice in their own clinics, and just talking about that, like when the music changes, it is a totally subconscious thing that our body is doing, and they are showing that their patients are responding to it in like weird respiratory ways that nobody was ready for. So it's already starting to be like lightly trickled into places now. It started in Italy, now coming over to the States. And I'm excited to see where this goes. It's another one of those things, we do this a lot on the show, where it's like, here's the early release of these studies, and we just hope to see more about it. But I just thought that was like so crazy that music is even more important than we thought.
It is so crazy. And you know what I thought of, you know, when I said like it's like the oldest form of art, you think about like primitive human beings, and like what is like the first instrument? It was a drum. Mm-hmm. And
a beat.
And you have to assume that they were first using it not for music, but to replicate sounds that they had already heard. They heard heartbeats. Mm-hmm. You put your head up against someone's chest, you can hear their heart. You plug your ears, you can hear the beating in your ears. So I guarantee they were replicating the sounds that they were already hearing within themselves.
That were around them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
So,
which I just love that. Like,
sense.
It's like this innate ability where we're trying to match up with that. And that's why it's so cool. And there was one last thing that I forgot to include, which is even like, this just adds to the point even more. There was a study, and this was actually like, there was a whole documentary about this on PBS that I totally missed. And now I'm like, okay, on my list to watch. But there was a documentary called The Music Instinct, Science and Song, which I just love anything that is connecting science and music. But it was featuring an array of musicians, including jazz, pop, and rap, and how they affect human mind and body. And one of the main points they made was that a developing fetus is already equipped with the ability to distinguish changes in sound patterns. And presumably this is like an instinct that humans have developed over time in order to interpret and learn from the world around them. Mm-hmm. It's like, again, music is like the first thing, beats, rhythm is the first thing that they can distinguish changes in. But it has been found that like even a fetus is doing that. And so music, like the rhythm has been inside us all along, but it can actually affect our whole life. It can affect our heart health.
I believe it.
That is how much it's built into us.
When I hear jazz, my anxiety spikes so much. I can't handle it. I physically cannot handle it.
I thought you were going to say something so sweet
it's
about
not
jazz.
When I hear jazz.
No, I love that it went the other way.
Drives me insane. I legitimately
That
had
was
to
better.
walk away from Whiplash and like go in the other because there's no pattern really. And you know, and I know this is like a running thing where it's like it sounds like noise to me, but like it's literal noise to me, and it's so all over the place.
Overstimulating? Do you think it's too like
It's just there's like no I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to it in my like I can't handle it. I hate jazz. I hate jazz.
it makes
And for so
total
many years
sense.
people are like, well, you just haven't heard. And it's like, no, bitch, I've listened to enough jazz
No.
to tell you that I fucking hate it.
Just having a physical reaction
I need
to it.
Xanax
It's science.
when I hear
It's
jazz.
science. Because it's overwhelming. Because your body is trying to match the like rhythm and find reason to it, and it's just going.
My body's
you're
like,
no.
absolutely not. I gotta
Like, I'm out.
go. That's so
I'm
cool,
out.
though. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, they're testing it and they're like finding these things. But like when you tell me that, it's like, yeah, duh. Like, of course our body has a reaction to it. But then like, but it is cool to like know that like, no, you can measure it.
You can actually measure it. Yeah, because I did think the same, to be honest. I almost didn't bring this story. Like I added it when we were going to record before. I added it very last minute because I was like, does this seem like a yeah, duh story? But I was like, no, because I do think like we attach so much of it to just like us.
The emotion.
And like, well, yeah, of course I like connect to music and can do this, but it's like, no, it's a natural, like our body just responds totally on its own.
Well, and animals too. There are cows who like, you know, you play classical music for your horses and cows, and it's good for their well-being. And my cats like music.
I know. I think I brought this up like on the memory episode as well, but like for children on the spectrum, a lot of like I teach a lot of kids with special needs in general, but a lot who are on the spectrum, they won't respond to any spoken language. But if you sing or if you just give them music of any kind, they're immediately like focused, listening. What are you trying to tell me? And they could respond only with their body, or maybe they'll respond to you in song, or they'll respond to you in action if you ask them to do something. And it's like they didn't connect until there was music. And I'm like,
it's so cool.
So cool.
I love it. Well, I think I'm going to have to save my prophecy for next episode, but you know what that means. Better hope it doesn't come true. You know what I'm saying? Like, you better hope that you guys don't need to prepare for something in 2 weeks.
I thought you were just going to wrap up the episode and be like, it's time to spin the wheel. And you're like, well, I was going to tell you all your future, but
sorry, you can't know. You gotta wait 2 weeks, and then I'll
sucks to suck. Really,
tell you about this prophecy, this end times prophecy. It is time to spin the wheel, actually, because that is all the time we have this week for Keep It Weird. Thank you so much for joining us again.
We love you.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to add.
How
also,
are
my
we
light is out
going?
of control.
Your light is having a time today.
And it hasn't done this in a minute. I've been so proud. Like it would do it like
so
once
proud,
an episode,
she says,
like,
about her ring light.
Because you know, like I'm annoyed for you, like editing. I'm always like, Jesus Christ. And it has been real testy tonight. I'm watching you, bitch.
I'm watching you. Okay, let's see what we're going to do to end this very special episode of Keep It Weird, because they're all special. Spin, bitch.
Aw. Spin, bitch. Ooh.
Oh!
Ah.
F it. Bye!
Oh, too rude?
It almost seems cruel. It almost seems cruel to say fuck it bye. We put that one on there because it was like, we don't have to do anything, but now I feel bad, but I do like it though.
And we talked for so long.
We did talk for a long time. We gave you guys so much. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more weird, and you know you have to be here because I have an end times prophecy and the end is nigh. This time for sure.
Cliffhanger with a prophecy.
For sure. Keep it weird.
Love you. Keep it weird.